Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this because what we're looking at today fundamentally changes how we all need to think about digital security. We basically operate under this built-in assumption that our most trusted digital infrastructure, the payment gateways, the analytics tags, the form builders, are just secure by default. But what happens when those exact tools are literally weaponized against us? I'm your host, and today I'm joined by our technical expert to break down exactly how attackers are pulling this off right now.
Hey, thanks for having me. I am really excited to unpack this. It's a fascinating and honestly kind of terrifying shift in how threat actors are operating today. They aren't just trying to brute force the front door anymore. They're essentially moving in and using the house's own plumbing against it.
Exactly. It's wild. And just to give you an idea of the sheer scale we're dealing with here, 5,714. That is the exact number of fake storefronts actively operating right now in just one of the massive skimming campaigns we're going to talk about today. We're talking thousands of sites tricking users and quietly siphoning off data. So we really need a structured breakdown to understand how this is even happening. So here's our game plan for today. 1. The Security Executive Brief. 2. A technical analysis on Everest forms. 3. A technical analysis of e-commerce skimmers. And 4. We'll wrap things up with a small business guide. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the Security Executive Brief, where we'll look at the high-level impact of trusted SaaS abuse. For those of you managing top-level business risk, the ground is shifting under your feet. We're looking at a serious convergence of threats here. You've got a critical zero-day in a widely used WordPress plugin, combined with the systemic abuse of trusted SaaS platforms. This isn't just an IT ticket to patch a server. This is about attackers leveraging the inherent trust of major brands to slip right past your enterprise defenses. And this quote from the e-commerce security company Sansec really hits the nail on the head. The attacker treats Stripe as free infrastructure, not a way to launder charges. It's brilliant, really, in its audacity. Hackers aren't just stealing credit cards and running away. They're using legitimate, completely trusted tools like Stripe and Google Tag Manager as a Trojan horse. They're literally using your own tools to hide their malicious code. But before they can exploit those trusted pathways, they obviously need a foothold, right? Which leads us to the burning question for any executive or IT manager watching this. How are they getting inside the server in the first place? To answer that, I'm going to pass the baton over to my co-host. Thanks! Let's get into Section 2, Technical Analysis on Everest Forms, specifically looking inside CVE 2026-3300. So, this CVE 2026-3300 vulnerability is a massive entry point. We're talking about a critical security flaw in Everest Forms Pro, which is a WordPress plugin with thousands of active installations. And when I say critical, I mean it has a severity score of 9.8 out of 10. The exploitation chain here is devastatingly simple. Step 1. An unauthenticated attacker just submits a crafted value into any string-type form field. Think text boxes, email fields, URLs. Step 2. If that form happens to use the complex calculation feature, a function called process_filter takes that user input and basically concatenates it into a PHP code string. The fatal flaw here? The system totally fails to escape single quotes. Step 3. This unescaped string is passed directly into the highly dangerous PHP eval function. And step 4. Boom! The attacker achieves full remote code execution on your server. And once they have that remote code execution, they absolutely do not waste time. According to WordFence, attackers have been actively exploiting this flaw since April 13, 2026. Security firms have actually blocked over 29,300 exploit attempts already. So what's their goal? The primary payload we keep seeing is the creation of a rogue administrator account on the compromised WordPress site. The specific username you need to look out for is Dixie Marina, tied to the email address dixiemarina@gmail.com. This is your smoking gun. If you see this user on your backend, your site is fully compromised. Okay, wow. So they use that Everest Forms flaw to just kick the door down and gain control. But once they're in and they want to start stealing data from checkout pages, how are these e-commerce skimmers evading standard network filters? I mean, shouldn't content security policies catch this kind of unauthorized data exfiltration dead in its tracks? You would definitely think so. Which brings us to Section 3, Technical Analysis on e-commerce skimmers and how they're abusing default trust. You'd assume content security policies would catch it, but these skimmer campaigns bypass them completely by hiding in plain sight. They actually load their malicious code from a Google Tag Manager container, which, let's be honest, is completely trusted by almost every store out there. Now, normally, your checkout communicates safely with the Stripe API, but in these attacks, specifically on Adobe Commerce or Magento pages, the hacker creates a Stripe customer record. Then, inside the metadata field of that Stripe account, they hide a heavily obfuscated skimmer. The malicious GTM code pulls that skimmer out, steals the shopper's financial info, saves it to the browser's local storage, and then exfiltrates the data right back to the attacker's Stripe account. And because the data is just flowing to api.stripe.com, your network filters wave it right on through. Stripe effectively becomes a free, incredibly durable exfiltration sink for the hacker. And we're not talking about isolated incidents here. This perfectly coincides with a massive, organized operation known as Gorgon Agora. They've been running this out of Moldova since August 2025. This campaign uses those 5,714 fake storefronts we mentioned earlier. They all run the Medusa.js commerce stack along with a custom checkout SDK. But here is absolutely the most sophisticated part of the whole thing. When a victim's bank returns a 3D secured challenge, that text message code you get to verify a purchase, the attacker's command and control server actually proxies that live challenge back to the shopper through a fake Stripe iframe. The shopper types in the code thinking it's legit, the transaction completes for the bad guys, and the theft stays completely invisible. And just to trick users into trusting these fake domains, they are heavily impersonating some massive household brands. We're talking fake storefronts for Starbucks, Ford, Sony, Mattel, Hasbro, Lego, Disney, Toyota. They are just piggybacking on the reputation of these global giants to lure unsuspecting shoppers right into their Gorgon Agora web. That is incredibly alarming. They're weaponizing our trust in big brands, our trust in Google Tag Manager, and even our trust in standard payment gateways like Stripe. So let's bring this back down to the ground level for all the business owners and focus learners watching. What can we actually do to protect our businesses right now? That brings us to our final section, Section 4, the Small Business Guide, covering actionable defense mechanisms. The good news here is that while the attacks are super sophisticated, the immediate defense really just relies on solid fundamental security hygiene and doing some targeted auditing. First up, obviously, the most critical patch.
Right, absolutely crucial. If you use Everest Forms Pro, you need to patch it immediately to version 1.9.13. That was actually released back on March 18th, 2026, so get on that if you haven't.
Spot on. Secondly, go audit your WordPress user list right now, literally right after this explainer. Look for any rogue administrators, specifically searching for that Dixa Marina account. If it is there, you're breached, and you need to initiate full incident response.
Next up, you can't just set your content security policies and forget about them. You've got to monitor them tightly. And finally, review your Stripe and Google Tag Manager setups. Are there unusual customer metadata fields? Are there weird, unexpected tags firing on your checkout page? The takeaway here is don't just assume that because the traffic goes to Google or Stripe, it's automatically safe.
Which really leads us to our final thought today. The overarching lesson from this explainer is that the perimeter has completely changed. It's no longer just about building a wall to keep the bad guys out. It's about making sure the tools you willingly invited inside your house aren't secretly working against you. So ask yourself, are your most trusted third-party tools secretly harboring your biggest threats? It's a tough question, but it's one every website owner needs to be asking themselves today. Take a hard look at your integrations, patch those plugins, and never, ever take digital trust for granted. Thanks for learning with us.